Hey everybody, how's it going? This week I'm installing one of the most important essentials to van life. Well, in my opinion at least. Whenever I show it to you, ignore the paint job because I think that the paint that I used was old and I put like 3 coats on it and it didn't cover it. Nothing too crazy. I think it'll work perfectly. One of the most asked questions I've gotten since I started building my van is, when I'm out on the road, where will I go to the bathroom? Most of the time, there will be public facilities that I can use. However, there's probably going to be times where public facilities aren't going to be available, so what will I do then? Well, I plan to fix that issue this week. What I'm going to need is a composting toilet in my van. However, when I look them up online, composting toilets are $1,000 or more. And I am not in a position to be able to spend $1,000 on a toilet right now. So what I think I'm gonna attempt to do is build my own. So let me take you over here real quick and show you what I'm thinking. So what I'm gonna do is, I've got all this scrap wood from other projects that I did in my van. So I think I'm gonna use as much scrap wood as I possibly can to put this thing together. Right now I need to build a 17 by 18 inch box that's 15 inches tall. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started on that. All right, so I have my composting toilet built and somewhat painted. Whenever I show it to you, ignore the paint job because I think that the paint that I used was old and I put like 3 coats on it and it didn't cover it. So I'm running out of time, so I'm gonna have to paint it later, but it's a composting toilet, so I'm not too worried about it. So the reason why I decided that I wanted to build my own composting toilet is because if I were to buy one, it was going to cost me around $1,000. So I went based off kind of how those composting toilets work and built mine off of that. So with composting toilets, you have to have some kind of a material down in it. So some people use coconut coir, some people use peat moss, cedar chips, which is actually what I'm going to be using. And then you have to separate the liquids from the solids. So I have a diverter that all the liquids will go into its own container to keep everything separate and keep the smell down. You also need some kind of an airflow through it. So what I'm going to be doing, I don't have it yet, but I am going to be getting a small computer fan that I'll attach to the back of it and drill a hole so the air will flow through it and then flow through a hose that'll go out underneath my van. And also with composting toilets, obviously when it gets full, you have to do something with it. So with the composting toilets that you buy, the ones that I've seen anyway, you have to take it outside and dump it into a trash bag or something like that. So I'm going to eliminate that process and just start out with a trash bag from the very beginning. So I don't have to take it out and dump it into a bag. It'll already be bagged up and I can just tie it up and dispose of it appropriately. So I tried to make this composting toilet as easy to use as possible. So I'll go ahead and show it to you, and again, ignore the paint job on it. Okay, so I'm gonna have it up underneath my bench seat, so all I have to do is take my bench seat off. I'll eventually have it on hinges. I've actually got the hinges already. I just haven't attached them to the base of the bench seat yet, but I'll eventually have this on hinges to where I don't have to take it completely off. But all I have to do is just remove it, and then it's up underneath there. And again, the paint job is horrible on it, but it's a toilet, so I'm not too worried about it right now. I'll fix that later. And then all I have to do is just open this, and there it is. Nothing too crazy. I think it'll work perfectly. I think with having the airflow and having everything separated, the smell should be minimal, if any at all. I put that lid on there so that I could put some kind of something up underneath there to seal it a little bit better, and I'm hoping that will help out as well. I don't plan on using this a ton in my van. If I have access to public facilities like I mentioned earlier in the video, then I'm absolutely going to be using that over this. I just wanted this for emergencies and when I'm out and there's no facilities available. So I think it's going to work out just fine. But now that I've got the majority of that taken care of, I've still got a few things to do on it that I wasn't able to get done in time for this video. However, the majority of it's done, so I'm happy with it. But now that I've gotten as far as I can on that project, I want to move on to my cabinet doors. I'm not going to be able to finish my cabinet doors in this video. However, I got my hinges in, and I want to put the hinges on the back of the doors and put the doors up on the cabinets so that I've got the holes drilled. So whenever I'm ready to put the cabinets up, it'll be an easy process. So let me go ahead and get the hinges and I'll show you what they look like. Okay, so I went and got the hinges, and first of all, I want to mention something about these hinges. I went to Lowe's and looked for these hinges. These are the hidden hinges. Let me pull it out. So they look like this. And they're hidden hinges, so whenever the doors are closed, you won't be able to see them. I went to Lowe's, and they were like $8. I bought 10 of them for a little over $20 on Amazon. Now, I don't know the quality difference, but $8 versus like $2 each is quite a difference. So I'm excited to try these out and see how they do. They're the soft close kind, so the door won't slam. You'll just shut the door and it'll softly close itself. So I'm excited to test them out and see how they look. Now like I mentioned earlier, my cabinet doors are not done. I've still got to put some inserts in 2 of them, and then I've got to get them painted. So I'll probably be doing that next week. So I just wanted to get these put in and get the holes drilled so that when my doors are done, they'll be easy to put up. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on this. So you can see I already have one door up. So I've just got 3 to do today. And this one doesn't have the insert in it. Okay. Oh, and one more thing I want to mention. Whenever me and Dakota were building these, he had a jig that we used to drill the holes needed for the hinges, which works perfectly. It makes it so much easier to hang these. Well, scratch that idea. I thought I was going to be able to make that a little bit easier on me next week. However, the screws that came with those hinges are not the screws I need for these particular doors. But no big deal. I'll just go buy the right screws I need and just get the entire cabinet door project done next week. Now, there's one more thing that I did want to get taken care of in this video, and I should be able to, and that has to do with the roof of my van. I recently bought some traction boards to keep with me in my van, and they're real bulky. They don't fold up or anything, and I really didn't want them to take up space in my garage space underneath my bed. So I think I figured out a way to mount them on the roof rack that I built. If you'll remember in the video, whenever I built that roof rack, I have some screws that were really long, and I was going to cut them down. I'm really glad I didn't do that at this point, because I think I can go in and attach those traction boards to those screws and just bolt them up with some wing nuts. And I have enough space between the roof of my van and the bottom of the roof rack that they fit perfectly. So tomorrow after work, I think I'm going to work on that project, and hopefully everything works out and I can mount those on my roof and keep from having to store them inside my van. Okay, so I have the traction boards up there now, and honestly, I am very happy that I went with the black instead of orange. They had a bright orange color, but the black looks really good with the frame that I built for the solar panels. So I'm very happy with how these look up here. It was very simple to get these installed on the frame that I built for the solar panels. Basically, the bolts that hung down, the traction boards already had holes in them, so I just lined the holes up with those bolts and used some wing nuts to secure it, and that was it. So I'm very happy that I was able to get those up on my roof and get them out of my garage space underneath my bed, because that'll just free up more room in my van. And it's also nice to have these traction boards with me, because you never know when you can get stuck in mud or sand or anything like that. And who knows, maybe I'll be driving my van over sand soon. But anyway, I think that's where I'm going to end it this week. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. If you haven't already, please consider hitting that subscribe button, and I will see you next Thursday. Yes. Yeah.
Good, because I'm going to keep eating.
You don't want to hear you munching in the background?
Yeah. I don't want that to happen.
Then you have to have a diverter that diverts the liquids. Yeah. Are you leaving?
Yeah.
Love you. I'll come say it. So let me go ahead and get the hinges, and I'll show you what they look like. Nope, I don't have them out here. Now, there's one more thing that I did want to get taken care of in this video, and I should be able to. And that is my and that has to do with the roof of my van.